Shall we all stand? Have the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Our last meeting of the year in December, and we're going to start down there with a roll call.
Mark Holtz.
Here.
Mark Frazier.
Here.
Francis Griffith.
Here.
Kelly Schmidt, absent. Troy Parmalee.
Here. Okay, thank you. And then agenda. You should have your agenda before you. Anything to add? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by, motion approved by,
Mark.
by Mark and seconded by Butch. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's the agenda. All right, doing okay down there? Okay. Check. Okay, November 2nd, regular meeting minutes. You should have printed copy of the minutes that we had last meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
November 2nd. Troy will make that motion, and Mark will second that motion. And all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, check. All right. I-69 trade order. Troy, you've got a special one.
Sure. So this is the second of our required public information sessions for the I-69 International Trade Corridor Next Michigan Development Corporation Local Development Finance Authority.
Okay.
Say that 10 times fast. So this is to provide information on the status of the LDFA. As of right now, we have right around $36,000 in the reserve fund. It'll be roughly another $8,000 that'll come in around the 1st of March from property taxes. And at this point, the money is in the reserve for utility improvements along the Lansing Road corridor, and that's what it's there for. So are there any questions from the public or anything on the LDFA? Okay, that completes that.
Okay, thanks Troy, appreciate it. That completes that. All set down there?
Yep.
Okay. First, public comment section. Okay. Hearing none. Our reports, we'll start with Troy on the sheriff report.
All right, looks like in November there were 114 calls for service, of which 19 of them were traffic stops.
Hey, what is peace officer?
22 calls.
Peace officers, when they...
Is that like a neighbor dispute or
Yeah, something that's not a criminal dispute. It could even be, you know, or not necessarily, it could be a potential civil matter, but it's something that they just want an officer there in case...
They just kind of go to mediate.
Well, the officer's really just there to make sure everybody, you know, like let's say there's a contentious custody dispute and they need a...
Well, they've got a domestic category.
Right, but I mean, it's not... This is arranged, like, for example, you know, parent A is picking up, you know, the child from parent B and they don't get along, so there's just an officer there just to make sure everybody does what they're supposed to do. Or common one is like somebody moved out and they're picking up their belongings and they're afraid there's going to be a, you know, the officer.
Well, there's been one on there quite often, so you're probably right. It's probably
sure. The officer is there just to make sure everybody does what they're supposed to be, and if somebody throws a punch, then they get involved.
So like a peacekeeper.
Exactly, it's a peace officer.
Okay. Note here too, guys, that the car deer interaction.
Yeah, there's 22.
22.
Wow.
Boy, to be in the car repair business, that's okay. That's that. Next on our agenda is Mark.
Engine 1's back, the one that we sent in to get the frame replaced. It's back in service. We are switching to Portland Credit Union, and we will use 2 signatures on our checks, even though the bank doesn't require it.
Okay.
So we just felt that was a good thing to do. And we are struggling with income right now. And we're looking at different ways to try to do it without raising you know, without raising the household fee or other things, but we may have to ask to do that at some point. We're really struggling with it. You know, costs have risen dramatically and,
How's their staffing?
well, we're full staff basically and things are going good from that direction. That is an increased cost. The union contract did increase our labor costs quite a bit, but there's not a lot you can do about that. It is what it is. So
The issue at hand is, does it get raised, you know, do we try and do some regular small increases enough, or does it have to be another big one?
right.
And, you know, I went to their last meeting and expressed the concern that another big one is gonna be harder to sell.
Sure.
I mean, small regular ones are what we should be doing. I mean, you know,
To keep up.
to keep up, no problem there, but, you know, doing another $30 or so, that's gonna be a little harder sell, I think, to the public this next time.
Sure.
You know,
And I don't disagree with that. I think that's probably true. Some of the things we're trying to do is that, you know, to this point, when somebody is a payer of the rooftop fee, you know,
Yeah.
if they can't pay the balance of the bill or they don't want to pay the balance of the bill, we don't go after them. We only go after ones that aren't a rooftop payer. What we're thinking of doing is offering them a discount if they pay that. In other words, maybe if you pay 50% of it, we'll clear it, you know, trying to nicely get some more income in. Because some of the people can't, but some of the people, and if they can't, they can't. And we understand that, but some of the people are just not, you know, and so if we could get them to help us that way, but we're kind of struggling until we can get the gas prices down and stuff if they ever do. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, of course, the cost of everything is
Well,
going up, and the cost of replacing equipment is sailed
yeah,
really out of sight.
140 to 250 now for an ambulance.
And that's just a chassis.
No, that's
Well, that's a total thing.
That's the whole thing. But you know, no, the alternative 175 is utilizing a box we already have and having it transferred to another chassis. But what we need to do right now is buy a complete rig, and then the next ambulance we could transfer a box over, and they rebuild the box and everything. But we can't really be down an ambulance. We have 3 on the road 24/7. We can't be down an ambulance for 2 or 3 months because then we don't have a spare when something's got to go in for
Because
repair.
we were re-chassing them, right?
We've done both, and we try to re-chassis, but we've got one that's been re-chassised 3 times. You know,
Yeah, eventually the box wears out. Yeah.
you know, at some point, you know, those boxes are aluminum, they're gonna start to stress and stuff. And there's been state requirements that are creating more cost. For instance, and this is something I totally agree with, but now they have to have, on any new ambulance, they have to have a lift system that comes out of the rig and goes down on the ground, the stretcher goes on it, picks the stretcher up, puts it in. Because the number one,
Kind of like a truck lift type thing.
right, the number one
Workers' comp. Okay.
workers' comp thing is backs,
Well, sure.
you know, and
Sure.
and then but now they've got a thing also where you have to have the wall reinforced on the bench side and have to have restraints for the ambulance people. And I don't know how you work on a patient if you're strapped to the wall, so
Tough one, yeah.
I'm not sure how that's gonna work out. But, you know, sometimes the government gets involved in things they don't have a clue about, so.
Okay, anything else?
No,
Okay. DDA, they meet January the third Wednesday of January, for the next meeting. Zoning, we had only one, junk and debris on a subdivision. We did get approval on Mrs. Regan, special use permit.
For the kennel.
And it only goes until, I think it only goes until 9/28/23, and it'll have to be looked at.
Did they adopt our conditions?
They did, totally.
Okay.
totally. It was approved 100%, so, by the people, so that was good. And then we did have very cool sub, we talked about that one, the zoning.
Oh, ZBA action.
Rose Boulevard.
That was just our lot line
That was
setback, yeah.
approved, and they're working on that, so that was approved totally. That was good. And then we had one person doing a addition on their house. Well, it's really an outside kind of addition. It's going well. And that was it. We do have some issues that we're dealing with on a dirt road with some poles. Our Mr. Preston met with our inspector gentleman, Nick, and the homeowner and their attorney, excuse me, the attorney from Lansing, and they're working on making sure the lines are correct, lot lines, and everything's okay. So we think that's going to work out. I think the deadline is coming up in less than a week on that. Okay, we've got a couple more outstanding ones out there we'll continue to work on. Commissioner, Mr. John.
No, thank you. We had interviews for a new county administrator. We had approximately 19 applications. We hired Frank Walsh of Walsh Associates from Okemos. We've been very pleased with his work. Then he presented to us what he felt were 5 individuals that would fit Shiawassee County pretty well. And each of them would have maybe a different type of skill set, but they all had experience. One of the 5 decided not to go through with the interview. The other 4 did. In the first go around, and we narrowed it down to 3, and we're having them back at 5 o'clock on Monday. And one of them is a gentleman that lives in Saginaw County. He's a former county commissioner. He's had a lot of government experience. That's one individual. We have another gentleman that's he's the city manager of Marlette, and his credentials are quite good. Then we have a third one, the gentleman's from DeWitt, and he has a lot of government experience, and he is a former county commissioner. We felt that the 4 that were brought to us were good candidates, and we were pleased, and they all had different skill sets. So we're going to, 3 of them are coming back to be interviewed again, and hopefully we'll make that decision Monday evening. The courthouse renovation will start hopefully like the first part of April. We have found lodgings for all the people in that building and certain county buildings and other areas, so that hopefully will work out. That's being all set up now, so when they have to make the move out of the courthouse, if you try to work around the people in the courthouse when they're trying to remodel the courthouse, it would have cost us another $1 million in labor. So everybody's moving out for about 4 months, hopefully 4 months. Veterans Building is under renovation. That's the old Griffin home out there on State Road or Shiawassee Street. And that's coming along slowly. They've been doing some work outside, doing work inside, and they hope to have that finished up by late spring. So that's their timetable on that building. Tonight I had Parks and Rec meeting at 6 o'clock, and our Parks and Rec board, we approved our Parks Master Plan for the next 5 years. That'll go to the Board of Commissioners next week for approval. There's an awful lot of money that is being put out there this year by Eagle for county and city and village township parks. And we hope to capitalize with our new master plan. And a lot of those grants have no copay. There's no, you put it in and you might, because there's $360 million of ARPA money and $250 million of state money in that. There's 2 pots there. So we're hoping to get some of that for the county. Also, at the end of the year here, some of the things that have come about, we're going to be getting from opioid litigation over 18 years, $2.5 million. And each year we will receive about $140,000. That money is earmarked by that settlement to go to pre-trial services for drug activity. Try to help some people we now have drug court and so on and so forth, so we'll try to, again, to try to keep people out of jail, off drugs. That's what that money will be used for the next 18 years. Also, we will take our fund balance that was $1.3 million at the beginning of this year. It looks like our fund balance at the end of this year will be 2.5. That's a good number, because in our budgetary process for next year, we have our budget balanced on paper as of last week and this stuff today, and it's not going to be too difficult to balance our budget this year, but 24 could be a lot more difficult. All the ARPA money will be used up by then, mostly, and there will be SEV will go up 5% because inflation's been 8, Headley caps it at 5, so that will have some bearing on funds and more money for the county coffers. Isn't that an irony? You have inflation and it makes your taxes go up. Have a lot of things here, but a lot of it's just boilerplate things. Okay. Again, we've saved a great deal of money on Blue Cross Blue Shield, working with 44 North and working with our employees. So on and so forth. I miss anything? I bet I have, but anyway. One other thing that I wanted to talk about this evening as I leave office is that back a year ago, July, we had a county chairman of our county board deposit funds in other county commissioners' bank accounts, and for most of us that was unknown, and of course he thought he was a supervisor. We were drawn into many court cases. As a matter of fact, all those court cases have been dismissed. Also, the attorney of those court cases, he has paid a $73,000 frivolous lawsuit fine. Also, and this is tonight, this will be the first I talk about it, if you're a board or, if you're an entity or an individual and you make accusations about political figures, you are basically held harmless. I mean, you may not like the budget we approve or the color of this floor, but we can't be sued for picking blue over red or something. But if you knowingly did it as an entity or an individual and you knew better, you don't have immunity from prosecution. And actually, right now, of many of those organizations who went after us, they know that they have to settle. So, I can't talk anymore about it, but that's what's been going on. So, I certainly wish it never happened.
Is that attorney from San?
The gentleman, I think, was from the Grand Rapids area.
Or was he?
I'm not quite sure, but
Okay.
but I'd just like to point all that out, is the court system recognized very quickly that there was a lot of shenanigans that a lot of people didn't have anything to do with, and that all that stuff worked its way out. Any questions?
John, last night, when Cindy was talking about the budget, she was mentioning something about how there was no money coming out of the delinquent tax revolving fund, but then they changed something away, how the interest.
Yeah, what we did a couple of years ago, interest and penalty was put into the general budget, and the $12 million in the tax delinquent fund remained $12 million.
Gotcha. So
Yes.
the penalties and interest that normally go in there, which is what built the fund, those
Yes.
are now just going to the general fund.
Yes.
So the fund, you're planning to not to have to draw, but it's not going to be increasing anymore either.
No. I mean, it may, let's say, I mean, I've been around long enough with budgets that, let's say for 24, the Board of Commissioners decided that they needed to take $1 million from the tax delinquent fund and put it in the budget to balance it without raising taxes or whatever.
Sure.
Well, that would bring it down to 11 million. Of course, you would take the interest and penalties, and you might take $1 million, so it would only be 11 million by the end of 24. They could, if times get better, or if SEV rose enough to cover the regular operation of our budget, then money could go back into it. We kept it at 12 million. We still had in the back of our mind to do more work on the jail. We are completing the second half of the jail roof. I think we did part of it, and we'll probably finish up in the spring. But for improvements, well, actually, after we worked on the Veterans Building and the courthouse and district court and the district court roof and other things going on, we never really got to that. So this year, maybe next year they will. So, yeah, that's
So annually there is money that used to go to that fund that's now going to the general fund.
yes. And also too is something that we did that hadn't been done since the start of time when our county got established. There were many different bank accounts in different banks over the years that a lot of accounts were just in one bank for the court system, and the treasurer at times would have a very difficult time consolidating and reconciling all those accounts on a monthly basis. Well, 2 years ago, we said as a board of commissioners via the treasurer, all accounts will come into one bank. They'll be reconciled every week, you know, on paper every month, and so on and so forth. There was a lot of consternation by some people not within the county commissioners, but other people. But that has been all done, and that's the way it should be. And that was a big undertaking, making sure all accounts are reconciled on a weekly basis and a monthly basis. So that's worked out very well too. And we changed banks. Well, the bank changed. It went from Chemical to whatever the bank is there.
Well, actually, there's what's a Horizon.
Yeah.
That
Horizon, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, oh gosh, Huntington, I could give you stories. Yes, I've had some problems. Yeah. So anyway, anything else? Now I'll move on to Woodhall.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, and appreciate your service in the community and keeping us in the loop.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Have a good Christmas, everyone.
You too.
Okay, very good. Okay, get our clerk, assistant clerk, get that all taken care of. All set, okay. All right, so moving on, library.
Really wasn't a whole lot at the meeting. It was pretty much normal stuff. They didn't,
We got your search summary, it looked like.
and they, a lot of things going on in the libraries for December, a lot of programs and stuff.
Everything's okay there.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Laura. Troy, I-69 tree,
Meetings next week.
next week, okay, check. Okay. Back to Mark, SEDP.
Okay.
Okay.
The contract was approved with the county for the office space. When the veterans move out of the Surbeck building up to their building, then SEDP is going to move into those spaces in the Surbeck building.
Good.
And it's an in-kind trade-off.
In lieu of payment for services.
Instead of paying rent, it's the fact that what it is they're doing the footwork for the land bank.
Oh, okay.
And so anyway, it's saving the SEDP about $24,000 or $26,000 a year
Okay.
in rent. In the meantime, we're staying on a month-to-month basis
Where you're at.
in
Where
the
you're at. Okay.
in the armory, but things aren't great. Brian Boggs is now the treasurer, replacing Bruce Cook from Bruce
Oh, that
passed away.
Sure. Okay.
Brian will, of course, no longer be with the county,
Right.
but he is taking over the duties as the representative from Duran, and Cameron, who's the city manager of Duran, is stepping back to alternate because he's got so many other meetings he goes to.
Okay.
And then in the land bank, at the next meeting, we'll approve the blight grants. Right now, we have $200,000 less administrative money, you know, to give out. We have like 7 projects that are requesting some of that money, and we have to decide what and which. There'll be another round of money coming according to the state, probably about April.
Okay.
And we're waiting for transfer from the state land bank on those 30 chunks of property around the county that we got a lot of interest on a couple of pieces that people want to buy. And that income is what the land bank pays its bills on. Right now, the county's been, we owe the county money from the land bank, so.
The CDP. And planning commission for.
No meeting.
No meeting here, planning commission this month. Okay. All right. How you doing down there, Dee?
Yep.
Okay. Financial report and paid bills, Troy.
All right, you have your bills list in front of you, so we have 5 weeks between meetings here, so we have a little longer list this month, so there'll be some duplicates in there. Also had all of our election bills, so the workers and then all the bills from the county for programming, machines, and all of that good stuff. Are there any questions on the bills?
There's no money from the government.
No. Revenue sharing's every other month, and then, of course, property taxes will start coming in.
Sure. Oh, yeah, they're mailed out, yeah. Okay, Troy, thanks.
So pay them.
So Mark has made a motion to pay the bills. Butch is seconding that. Dee, we need a roll call vote.
Okay. Mark Folks,
Yes.
Mark Frazier,
Yes.
Troy Schmidt, not here, Troy Parmalee.
Yes.
Francis Griffin.
He said yes.
Yes.
Carrie.
Butch said yes.
Yeah, I got him.
Okay. All right, thanks. Correspondence?
I didn't have
I
anything.
didn't either. Okay. Darlene, any correspondence? No? No. Public comments, any more public comments, announcements? Unfinished business, we have none that I know of. Do we have?
Nope.
Nope. Check. New business, board review appointments. We have 3 that are going to continue. They've said they would. Jim Bayshore, Tim Place, and Dave Fletcher will all serve at the pleasure of the board review for next year.
Motion.
I'll make.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint the Board of Review to a 2-year term.
2-year, okay. Troy's made that motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mark, okay. Roll call vote.
Okay, Griffith, Francis Griffith, Troy Parmalee,
Yes.
Mark
Yes.
Folks, and Frazier.
Yes.
Okay.
Carried.
Okay, last on our agenda is DDA property.
Okay, so the Talbot property, the former gas station property that the DDA owns there on Lansing Road, the DDA received an offer at their October meeting and had voted to entertain an offer within a range, you know, that had been evaluated by a realtor for selling it for use for a propane storage tank there. We hadn't heard anything about it, so we kind of thought maybe it was going away, and then Mark heard from him, a couple of weeks ago, and they were ready to proceed. So the property is titled in the DDA's name, so it is in that, but I thought that we should, as the board, approve it also, just because we have fiduciary responsibility over the DDA. The sale price is $35,000, which was at the bottom end of the range that was given. The DDA has tried to sell this property. It's been listed with a realtor off and on over the last 15 years or so with no serious bite, I guess. One of the conditions within that is that we have it rezoned to M2 which allows that sort of storage by right, but that will be a contingent upon before it'll close. You know, and if that does not get accomplished, then we let him out of the agreement and refund his earnest money.
And
Get it done.
the Dan Thomas property is already M2, right?
It already is, yeah, he wants both, yeah.
So propane storage like that is allowed by right in M1 or M2. Our thought was to do it M2 because he's gonna combine those parcels and that
Just makes it.
everything makes more sense, and that one's already M2, and that's the larger parcel there. Also in the purchase agreement, I mean, he's fully aware of the restricted covenants that are in place, you know, due to its past, and petroleum bulk storage is one of the preferred things DEQ has on it. I mean, this is really a good scenario.
Good fit.
And it doesn't stop them from putting a building up for sale.
Absolutely, no, you're gonna put a building up or anything, but I mean, this is about as ideal as it could be there.
And it's a good fit out in that area.
It's a win-win.
Mhm.
It's a win-win.
So, the planning commission at your guys' October meeting, you had gone ahead and done a preliminary approval to,
Not knowing what their timetable might be.
not knowing what their
Just-
timetable is, and so as part of our motion to concur with authorizing the DDA, I guess I would like, unless the board objects, since we're responsible for getting it rezoned, that we proceed and waive our 50-day review since it's owned by us. That seems
I don't have a
reasonable.
problem with that.
Okay.
I would second that.
So, here's the motion, Darlene, you ready?
Okay,
To concur with the DDA's approval for selling the, I'll write it out for you. Concur with the DDA's approval for selling the Talbot's property and to proceed with the rezoning request and waive our 50-day review at the county because it's township owned property. That sound like a good motion?
Seconded by Mark, okay.
We'll need a roll call.
okay,
So, Troy made that motion and Mark seconded, me with Mark.
yeah, Frazier. Okay.
Once you're
Marlene,
done writing,
Yes.
do a roll call vote.
Mark Foltz,
Yes.
Mark Frazier.
Yes.
Francis Griffith. All yes.
Good, darling. Okay, great. So that takes care of the last item, any other public comment? I'm not seeing any other news or views or anything, no?
Nope.
Okay, what time is it?
Motion to
Hit
adjourn?
the road.
7, what time is it? 7?
Motion.
7:34?
Troy, do you have to
7:34.
accept the motion that we made to present it to the township board? Or
No,
we-
we're good because, I mean, you guys did that
Okay.
and that had my motion.
Okay.
What is that property zoned at for the future land, or the future
Okay.
land division?
What's the property zone for what?
What is that piece of property zoned at?
Oh, right now, it's B1.
Yeah, but I mean in the future land use map.
Oh, no, future land use is commercial industrial.
Okay.
So,
We're good.
B1, 2, 3, M1 or M2.
You know,
Well, I'm just,
Could go to
because,
the gas station, could go,
Well, that's why we asked the planning commission to look at it, because this is a pretty straightforward
Yeah.
rezoning. I mean, this is in the designated area, it checks all the boxes, you know, I mean, this is not a complicated one. This is this is in our commercial
Yeah.
industrial corridor, therefore, it should be rezoned any commercial or
Probably one of the
industrial
easiest
zone.
we've done.
What?
It's probably one of the easiest we've done.
well.
Oh, correct, I mean,
Yeah.
how did it end up being B1? I'm not sure, it's
the
in the
fire.
file.
you forgot about the
Small
fire.
BLT.
The what?
Well, the fire, that's when everything got,
Well, no, it was zoned MB1 relatively, since the fire, we have a copy of that one, and
Mark,
I think they just needed to choose a designation.
517, 574.
Yeah, because-
67.
How much gas?
Um, I raised heck about them just rezoning and it not being in the future land
Can you break
use
100?
map. Because it's against the law, really.
That's
if
what I
you-
thought.
'cause you're
Oh, it's in
supposed to
our
go-
land, it's in our land.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I didn't wanna, have them backfire.
No, that whole area between Perry and Morris is commercial
Okay.
industrial.
Yeah.
zone, He's ordering dinner.
My wife told me I had to bring dinner home.
So, I mean, we're adjourned.
We're good, we're good.
Yeah.
Clear everything away.
I think we are.
Joyce signing checks, he's got hers, checks.
Let me give him these to sign, darling.
Marlene, you gonna do it?